If you have been told that you have got an underactive thyroid and the weight refuses to move no matter what you do, I've got some bad news about the advice that you have probably been given because eat less, move more is actually some of the worst advice that you can give someone with hypothyroidism. It's not just unhelpful, but it can actively make things worse. And there's also a myth going around that cutting carbs will damage your thyroid. I've done the research, and that one really needs to be addressed today. Hi, I am Kim. I'm an online weight loss coach, and after losing 15 kilos myself and helping others lose weight and feel better without calorie counting or punishing themselves with cardio, I became obsessed with how our hormones drive fat loss and why, for so many women, fixing those hormones matters way more than just eating less food. Quick note before we start, hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's are related, but they're not the same thing. Today is purely about hypothyroidism, and I have got a whole separate video about Hashimoto's that I will be doing soon. So subscribe for that one. So here is what we're covering today. We're going to talk about what your thyroid actually does, how hypothyroidism happens, and what makes it worse, and why the standard diet advice backfires. Then, what you need to eat, including the truth about carbs, and what kind of movement actually helps versus what to avoid. So, let's go. Firstly, let's just cover off what your thyroid actually does. So, your thyroid is a small gland at the base of your neck. It is shaped like a butterfly. And think of it like a volume dial for the whole body. It controls how fast or slow everything runs, or you can think of it maybe like a thermostat. So, it controls your metabolism, your energy, your mood, your digestion, and even how warm you feel. When that dial is turned up, your body burns fat. Your energy is good, your brain is sharp, and that when that dial is turned down, you get the opposite. Everything slows, fat won't budge, you're tired all the time, you feel brain fog, cold, sluggish digestion, low mood, and overall just pretty shitty. The thyroid gland works by making hormones. The main two are T4, which is the inactive one. It's basically just in storage, and T3, which is active, and that one actually does all the work. So your liver takes T4 and converts it into T3. Think of it like converting a raw ingredient into a finished product. Your brain keeps an eye on all of this happening and sends a signal called TSH to tell the thyroid to work harder or to ease off. And usually that TSH is the signal that doctors will usually test. But on its own, it doesn't always tell the full story. Here is the important part. Your thyroid doesn't work alone. It directly affects your hunger hormones, your stress hormones, and your fat storage hormones. When your thyroid is sluggish, all of those just go haywire as well. And that is why hypothyroid patients can feel honestly like they're doing everything right, because they are, but they're still getting nowhere with their fat loss. Their metabolic dial is stuck way too low. So, what is hypothyroidism, and then how does that even happen? So, hypothyroidism just means that your thyroid isn't making enough hormone to keep your body running properly. The symptoms sound a lot like, life for many women over 30. Constant tiredness, that sleep doesn't really fix, weight that creeps on, especially around the belly, feeling cold, brain fog, dry skin, hair thinning, low mood, and no matter how hard you try, the scale doesn't move. It affects around 11% of people eating a Western diet, and women are 5 to 9 times more likely than men to have it. And to put this in perspective, the number one most prescribed medicine in the US in 2023 was a thyroid hormone replacement drug, which is well ahead of things like vitamin D, antibiotics, and blood pressure medications. So it's not really a rare condition. It most commonly shows up in women aged 30 to 50, which also often gets written off as just getting older or is sometimes confused with the symptoms of perimenopause. Big issue here is that many people are what is called subclinically hypothyroid, meaning that their numbers are technically in the normal range, but they have got every single symptom. And if that is you, ask your doctor for a full panel that's TSH, T3, and T4, not just TSH on its own. So let's talk a little bit about the causes, because there's a number of different things that your body could be lacking that can cause hypothyroid. So one of them is not enough iodine. Your thyroid hormones literally have iodine built into them. Without iodine, you don't get the right hormones. We've got things like seafood, eggs, and iodized salt are going to be your best friends here to make up that iodine, or you can just get it as like a little dropper. I often will add it into a drink like a pre workout. And then your body's also missing another few key nutrients. So your body needs selenium to convert the inactive thyroid hormone into the active version. It needs zinc and iron as well. If you run low on any of these, then the whole system can start to slow down. And dieting too hard for too long, where you really slash your calories, your body thinks it's in a famine, and its response is to slow the thyroid down to conserve energy. The more aggressively you yo yo dieted, the more that this compounds. Then we've got chronic stress. So, stress hormones and thyroid hormones are in direct competition. When stress is high and constant, their thyroid unfortunately loses out. And it's one of the most overlooked reasons why women in their 30s and 40s struggle. And some other causes could be things like radiation, thyroid surgery, certain medications, and also age can reduce thyroid function over time. So I just want to talk about why standard dieting makes this worse. So the cruel irony here is that the harder you diet with hypothyroidism, the worse it can get. When your thyroid is already running slow and you cut your food right down, your body reads it as starvation and it hits the brakes even harder on your metabolism. It's basically in a self defense mode, or you could think of it as your body being really efficient with the food that you're giving it, but it's not the type of efficiency that you want. It means that it's doing more with less. You're starving and you're also not getting the right nutrients for your body, but your body is just turned everything down. On top of that, like I just said, you're eating less, meaning you're getting less the nutrients that your thyroid actually needs: iodine, selenium, zinc, iron. So if you're treating the symptoms with making the root cause worse, then you're going to be going backwards. Then we've got chronic cardio, which does the same thing, but from a different angle. Long bouts of running or cardio can spike up your stress hormones too much, and high stress hormones can suppress your thyroid, and you end up burning yourself out and slowing your metabolism at the same time. The pattern kind of goes like slow thyroid, slow metabolism, diet harder, do more cardio, body slows further, stress hormones rise, thyroid suppresses more, weight goes up, and then you repeat the whole cycle. And that is a terrible cycle to be stuck in. Now, I want to quickly mention this low carb myth. I actually had a comment about this asking if low carb would negatively impact thyroid. Now, I'm not a doctor. Let's just be really clear with that. But I poured hours into this research. So let me just break it down simply. When people go low carb, T3, like I said, the active thyroid hormone does drop. Yes. And you want T3 to be up. So that sounds bad. But here's the thing: the brain signal, the TSH, stays completely normal. If the thyroid were actually being damaged, the brain would be sending emergency signals to compensate, but it doesn't. The dial stays steady. The way that Dr. Ben Bickman, who is a top metabolic researcher, explains it is that when you go low carb, your insulin drops. But do you say that your pancreas is broken? No, we say that it is working more efficiently, which is the same thing with T3. High carb diets actually increase how much thyroid hormone your body needs. But if you go lower carb, then that demand can drop. But because the system is running better on less. Leading researchers, like I said, Dr. Ben Bickman, have gone through the clinical data and found that there is not a single published study that has ever shown low carb eating causes hypothyroidism. Not one. And he said that, not me. That said, I personally don't follow a strict keto diet, and I don't think you need to either. What matters more than going keto is which carbs you're eating. And that brings me to my next section, which is you don't need to fear carbs, you need to swap them and go for quality over quantity. The issue here is mostly with refined carbs: white breads, pastas, pastries, packaged cereals, sugary drinks. They hit your bloodstream really fast, spike your blood sugar, and trigger a big insulin response. And chronically high insulin creates a hormonal chaos that can make thyroid problems far worse. But natural carbs, so think things like sweet potato, berries, or pumpkin, they release glucose much slower. They don't spike your insulin the same way, and your blood sugar stays steadier, your hormones stay calmer, and your body has a chance to actually use that energy instead of storing it. The goal here, like I said, is not zero carbs, quality over quantity. Swap your white bread, pastas, pastry for sweet potato or pumpkin. Swap sugary cereal for berries with full fat Greek yogurt and chia seeds. Swap your packaged snacks for fruit with cheese or nuts, and refined crackers with rice cakes and avocado or vegetables with dip. The other thing is how you eat your carbs. So always pair them with a protein and a fat. A potato on its own will spike your blood sugar, but a potato with butter and a piece of salmon, much slower release, much more stable response. Think of protein and fat as the anchors to every meal. They will slow everything down, keep you full, and protect your hormones. Carbs will come alongside them, not instead of them. Prioritize protein at every meal: eggs, meat, fish, Greek yogurt, and healthy fats, butter, olive oil, avocado oil, and fatty cuts of meat. And then choose your carb from the natural options and just keep the portion in check. For women, your carbs also need to shift throughout your cycle. The week before your period, your body will need more carbs and it will crave more carbs. Honor that with some sweet potato, fruit, and maybe some rice rather than a bag of chips. So let's get into the best foods for thyroid health. I mentioned a few of these before, but firstly, let's just quickly talk about what to cut out because that's probably the easiest. So cut out things like seed oils, canola, soybean, sunflower, corn, vegetable oil. These are almost in every packaged food and takeaway meal. They cause an imbalance between omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids by providing, unfortunately, far too many omega-6s for your body, which is going to cause that inflammation directly throughout the body, which can slow thyroid function. Then ultra-processed foods, basically anything that comes in a packet with a long ingredients list. They combine the bad oils that I just mentioned along with refined carbs, which spike insulin, and some artificial additives that can sometimes disrupt the gut. And your gut is actually where a lot of the T4 gets converted into active T3. So you want a healthy gut. Then refined sugar, which spikes insulin and creates a knock-on hormonal effect that can suppress thyroid activity. So add more of these types of foods instead. We want seafood, eggs, maybe some iodized salt for iodine. Like I said before, your thyroid hormone is literally made from iodine. Then we've got things like Brazil nuts. 2 of them a day would cover your selenium needs, and selenium is actually what converts inactive thyroid hormone into the active version. Also things like sardines, tuna, beef, red meat, oysters, pumpkin seeds, and all that for zinc. Then we've got meat, eggs, and fish for tyrosine, which is a building block for your thyroid, and also for the omega-3s to balance out that ratio that I was just talking about and lower inflammation. You can mix that in with morning sunlight, animal proteins for vitamin D and vitamin B12. So to kind of summarize that, we're looking at fatty fish, eggs with the yolk, and quality red meat that can pretty much cover everything that your thyroid needs in one go. And a quick note on the raw vegetables: large amounts of raw broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and spinach can interfere with iodine and iron absorption. Cooking them fixes this. So lightly saute or roast your cruciferous vegetables rather than just eating big raw salads of them every day. I see a lot of people just put like a hunch of spinach into their shakes, but it's probably best to like saute the spinach first, just so that you're not counteracting any of the vitamins or minerals that you're putting in your body. And then movement. Let's talk about what helps and what hurts. So I would say to walk every day, especially after meals. When you walk after eating, your muscles can really help mop up the glucose from that meal so it gets used for energy instead of stored as body fat. And it's one of the simplest and most effective things that you can do for your blood sugar and your thyroid. Then morning walks in sunlight are a bonus, as sunlight in the morning really helps to set your body clock up for success, boosts your mood hormones, and also gives you free natural red light therapy that your cells genuinely benefit from. Yes, those red light therapy masks and mats and all of that are just generating what you get from the sun in the morning. Then resistance training, so 2 to 3 times a week is what I would recommend. Building muscle will give your body more capacity to handle carbs and glucose as well, which takes pressure off the whole hormonal system, including your thyroid. Now, if you have issues with your thyroid, you want to avoid HIIT, at least for now. Intense exercise can really flood your body with stress hormones. Stress hormones suppress your thyroid, and if your thyroid is already struggling, then this adds fuel to the fire and can really stall progress. So skip the sort of long sessions of high intensity cardio. Long sessions of high intensity cardio can have the same problem and without the muscle building benefits. If you're a runner, if you're a bike rider, if you're putting your body under stress for a long period of time, that might not be the best thing while you're struggling with thyroid issues right now. Goal here is calm, consistent movement that builds strength without spiking stress. Walking and weights are almost the perfect balance of that. So, if you have hypothyroidism, unfortunately, the advice that you've probably gotten in the past has maybe worked against you. The fix is not harsher dieting or more cardio, it's giving your thyroid what it needs: the right nutrients, less inflammation, stable blood sugar from better quality carbs paired with protein and fat, real muscle building movement, and a serious reduction in the things that can suppress it further. You don't need to go keto. You don't need to eat 1,200 calories a day. You need to work with your body and really nurture it for a season. I personalize all of this type of stuff for my clients through my metabolic method because how it applies really depends on you specifically. And I can't possibly know your full picture through a YouTube video. So if you want to learn more about the 5 insulin mistakes you're probably making right now, I've linked a free masterclass below. And I've got another video coming up on Hashimoto's, so stay subscribed because while the two conditions do overlap, how you approach them is a bit different. And it really did deserve its own video. And if you enjoyed this one, my PCOS video is worth watching next, although it's now called PMOS. The link is on the screen now, and nothing in this video is personal medical advice. If you are on thyroid medication, please make any changes alongside your doctor, and I will see you in the next one.